Hey guys, what's up? This is XWolfX here, coming at you with my prediction list of this coming in ban list of 2015, January 1st. Also, ban list season's around, so I want to hear your guys' opinions or what your guys' ban list would look like if you guys could actually play with the ban list, or what you guys think this ban list should be like. Now let's get started. Obviously, the first card. Actually, I don't really know if any cards should be coming off, or should be banned on this ban list. Maybe Vandy's Emptiness, but that'd be my opinion. And I just don't see any cards that powerful to get banned because they want to make their money off the Tier 1 decks, like Clifford Forts and Burning Abyss, so they're not going to ban anything to hurt them. But they may limit it down, which I can see them doing, as long as it doesn't, like, kill the deck. But now let's go to Limited. Alrighty, I can see him bring back Stratos. One, because there was no reason to ban him in the first place, and I don't care if you guys say, well, he's broken or whatever. He's really not. He's a +1 most of the time, and yes, he can destroy back rows, which most people do not use that second effect. The fact is, some people argue, well, you can get him back from so many places. You can get him back from the Shining only if Shining hits Graveyard and you do not make him miss timing. That's realistically the most case scenario. But honestly, I see him coming back to at least one. Also to sell the hero deck. Well, the hero structure deck, you know, with all the mask heroes and whatnot. Because even over in Japan, heroes aren't really doing too much. I mean, they're still here and there, and they also have the support of Blazeman, which we still do not have and probably won't get for a long while. Alrighty, Dragon Ravine to 1. Well, one, E-Dragons are no longer, or Dragon Rollers are really no longer a thing, and Dragonies deserve their extra little support to at least keep them around. I don't think this card should be anything higher than 1, though. Now, for Clifford Forts, I would say it would either be Sacrifice, Summoner's Art, or Clifford Scout. Now, I doubt they'll hit the Sacrifice just because they're making more Clifford support. But if they do, that would be a pretty nice thing to hit to 1 just because it's like, oh, hey, I can search this out. And when it hits Graveyard to get a search, I mean, it's ridiculously good. And there's a reason why it's putting it at Tier 1. Summoner's Art, if not putting this to 1, I can see them banning it. Even though it's just one of those really awkward cards to hit just because it's like nothing else is really abusing it at this current moment. And there's no real deck that's kind of like, oh, hey, look, you know, let's play Summoner's Art and see how great it is. Now, Clifford Scout. Now, honestly, this would be hitting the problem of the deck, putting him to 1. But Konami wants to make their money, so they probably won't. Or they'll hit him to 2 at least. But personally, I would like to see him to 1, just because he is the problematic card of the deck. And there's ways to get him back and to bounce him and all that. Now, for the Burning Abyss, I can see him putting all 3 of their major trap cards to 1 just because we don't have Heavy Storm anymore. Like Phoenix Wing, Wind Blast, Raigeki Break, and Karma Cut. And that's just because it's like, oh, hey, look, I get to discard a card and benefit off of it, so I get a plus and get rid of around your cards. Oh, my, that's so hard. I mean, ridiculously, they should be at 1 if, like, Compulse, Bottomless, and all that fun stuff is at 1. And even I could see TT going up to 2 or 3, but I'll talk about that later. And Tour Guide. Now, this one, I could see them maybe hitting to 2. I would like to see them hit it to 1, but even though it won't hurt the deck too much, though, because it's getting printed as an ultimate, I don't think they're going to touch it, or put it to 2 at least, just so they can continue making their money off Tour Guide. Vanity's Emptiness. Now, this card definitely needs to be put to 1 or ban, just because it's a really unfair game card, and yes, people can argue, well, it's so easy to get around. Well, if you don't have the Typhoon, especially if you're playing like a Tier 2 or lower deck, it's kind of like, oh, well, I just lost. Because player 1 can be like, oh, hey, I set up all my like Dantes and whatever, and then it's like, oh, hey, you're going to try to do something? LOL. Good game. Or in Clifford's case, it's like, oh, hey, let me pull out all my monsters. Oh, you're going to try to do something? Nope. Good game. You might as well scoop up now, fool. And it's just a really good card, just like Royal Oppression was. And yes, Royal Oppression, you know, at least didn't go away if something else got sent to the graveyard. But with pendulums being a thing, It's kind of like Pendulum just make this card kind of like troll on it with the them going to the extra deck zone versus the graveyard. Now, Shaddoll Fusion, I really feel like this card needs to be hit to 1 just because they can recycle it. And it's kind of ridiculous to watch it go off because it's like, oh, hey, look, you have a special summon monster. I activate this. LOL. Send my stuff from the deck to the graveyard. Whereas Polymerization, can never be this powerful. Or Miracle Fusion. I mean, could you imagine, like, those cards that they could do the same thing and then, like, the monsters going off in the graveyard getting effects too? Not really. It's really unfair. I mean, yes, you can only activate once per turn. But the fact that it's searchable and recyclable, I feel like there's a reason why it is. Now, let's go on to us. Well, actually, no. Back to Limited. If they don't hit Shaddoll Fusion, they should at least do what the Japanese did. Hit the Winda and Construct or the OCG. And that's just because the deck is really, really good. I mean, I realize it's not like tier 1 good, but most people play like 2 anyways. So I feel like 1, because this one prevents, your opponent from special summoning. So it's kind of like LL, and this doesn't get destroyed by card effects. So you have to run over by battle. And most of the time when you're trying to get the monster over, they turn one window you, they lock you down, and it's GG's. Along with Construct, it's basically a really powerful canister, and it's just ridiculously good. Okay, now for semi-limited, I feel like Rescue Rabbit. I feel like Rescue Rabbit could go to 2 or 3, because Dinah Rabbit would not do too much in this format. It'd probably be pretty much the anti-meta of the game right now. And I mean, Rabbit's not even really doing too much over in the OCG, and they have a lot more stuff going on. So I feel like Rabbit could go back to 2 or 3. Now, Archfiend. With Soul Drain, or Soul Charge to 1, and not many, we still have 3 Call of the Haunted, and that's pretty much it. And still 3 Necromancer. I feel like this card was the wrong card to hit. Yes, he was the Searcher, but Necromancer was really the one that allowed him to be abused. And I mean, Infinity shouldn't have been hit as hard as they were. Yeah, they won Worlds, but that was only because Shaddolls had not came out in the TCG yet. And I mean, if we had the Shaddolls at that point, Shaddolls would have been the winner. Hands down. And I mean, with Barrier to 1, I feel like the deck isn't really that busted. At least if not putting Archfiend back to 3, put him back to 2. I mean, I realize the deck can go nuts, but it's not always as consistent as people think it is. Now, Macro. I would love to see this go back to 3, but at least back to 2, just because it gives a higher chance of drawing it. And yes, I do realize this can be game-changing cards, especially against the meta and the Pendulum monsters or Burning Abyss. It's a big shutdown card. And I mean, it's not really hard for them to get the Typhoon just because they get so much free advantage and so much draw power. Where I feel like tier 2 or lower decks, they kind of need this to be able to be like, no, you're not going to do anything good game. Even though I do realize Macrocosmos can be a huge, okay, LOL, you lose. Just like Macro, Soul Drain is a great anti-meta card, and I feel like this needs to come back at least a 2, just to stop the Burning Abyss from being so fast if they're not going to touch anything in Burning Abyss. Next would be Torrential Tribute, because it's not really going to hurt the meta at all. They could put this back to 2 or 3 if they're going by like the OCG list, or 2 at least. Just because like the meta actually kind of benefits off this, and we already have Raigeki, so why not bring this back to 2 or 3? Dimensional Fissure. I feel like can go to 2 or 3, just same reason as Macro. Now, Thunder King Rio. I feel like this card would benefit side deck players a lot. I feel like it needs to go back to 3, just because at 1 it's not going to do too much. 2, it's alright. 3 would at least benefit players more, so it could be like, okay, hey, I summon Thunder King to kind of stop your Clifford Forts surges. Now you have to play around it and show me some skill. And it's a great anti-meta card. And all that fun stuff. And the other card that can go back to 3, Bestiary. I mean, honestly, right now, Glads aren't doing the very best. Sorry guys, my video camera cut out. Anyways, or my video recorder, I guess I should say. Bestiary should go back to at least 2 or 3, just because one, when he comes out, yeah, he pops one back row, which at this moment doesn't really do too much. I mean, the OCG I think even has him at 3. I mean, yeah, it would allow like Glad players to have more plays, because if you bottomless this, usually it was good game for them. And I mean, at least 2, just because it's like, hey guys, theirs is their whole kind of gimmick. And I mean, Bestiary is a pretty good Glad, but it's not like worthy to be at 1 anymore. And I mean, right now this isn't even really a Glad format, so I feel like he could bet 3. And then one other card, Dark Strike Fighter, because they did errat his text and actually completely changed it where you can only be once per turn. It's not like it's the, oh hey, I summon Rescue Cat, summon a monk, good game. I mean, it actually can't really be a big OTK right now, and yeah, not too many decks are synchroing a lot, so it's kind of one of those, it's not going to do too much to the game. And, I mean, that's kind of what even the OCG list did, was just like, LO, let's throw it back to 3. I mean, it's really not going to do anything. I mean, you may see 1 or 2 people playing it and just burning for a little damage, but it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, it's what it was back in the day. Alright guys, I hope you like this video, and please like and subscribe and share with your friends, and comment below on what your thoughts are, and tell me what your ban list would be, or your prediction, or what your ultimate ban list you would want to see in this game, because I may even do one of those videos. Alright guys, until the next video, have a good one, and stay strong and believe in the heart of the cards.